Previously, Kazuya got fatally injured while trying to protect some girls from an armed robber. He wakes up to find himself reincarnated in a fantasy world as Cain, who belongs to a noble family. He maintains his memories from his past life, so his family sees him as a genius. At the age of 5, he undergoes mandatory ritual baptism. The gods give him all their blessings and max out all stats. When his family sees this, they warn him to keep his blessings a secret at all costs, but he has the goal to become an adventurer and have many experiences. Things proceed with Cain in the capital's church. He makes his prayer, which transports him to the realm of the gods. Xenom lets out a Santa Claus-style laugh as he comments on Cain's return. The young lad apologizes for taking so long and tells them that he kind of overdid it in the early stages of his life. With that in mind, he wants to consult them about his stats. Xenom admits that his current numbers are inhuman, which makes him more worried. The head god states that his life experience has yet to catch up to his current skills. Even with that said, in his current state he's likely the most powerful human in the world. He even offers Cain the option to become a demigod. This would put him in the same class as holy beasts and divine dragons. However, he warns him that in his current state, there are limits to what he can do alone, so he shouldn't test those limits. Xenom changes the topic of discussion to a lighter note as he points out that there isn't much entertainment in their realm, so he suggests that he uses his knowledge from his previous life to create something. This gets Cain thinking that maybe if he could introduce items that don't exist in his current world, they would likely become popular. Xenom agrees with his thoughts as he can read them, which startles Cain a little. The merchant god joins to ask if he can do it. Cain later returns to the world and is forced to accompany his mother and sister while they shop for clothes, but he's not comfortable in the shop, so he escapes. As he dashes out, he spots Parma outside and rushes over to say hello to her. He tells her that he's in the capital for his debut ceremony. She informs him that she's under training in her uncle's shop. Her uncle Tamanis comes out and comments on how responsible Cain looks, and his niece informs him of Cain's nobility, which causes him to apologize immediately for his casual address. He doesn't take it as an issue at all, but he does want to take a look at the shop. After his inspection, he comments on the variety of goods that the shop produces. Cain believes that Tamanis is capable of executing his idea, so he tells him of the recreational item he'd like to make. Cain wants to know if he would be willing to produce and sell it. He draws it out and explains the details for him to see. The merchant comments on its entertaining yet simple concept. Tamanis believes that he could make it at a very affordable price. He is eager to get started on the production. This gets Cain excited, but he wants a prototype of it first. The guy leaves him with a gold coin to cover the expenses. Tamanis gets up a little shy as it is too much for the task that he has set. Cain puts him at ease, explaining that he should think about it as an upfront investment. When put in that context, he gratefully accepts. He promises as head of his company that he will give his all to the project. Cain leaves the shop happy, but his mood quickly changes when he sees his sister a little upset that he didn't stay to comment on her dresses. She begins to complain, but he gives her a compliment that melts her anger away. She doesn't let him off the hook as she tells him that when they get home he's going to comment on each outfit. That evening he sits there as she tries on different outfits, and he gives glowing feedback, making her happy. At a later date, the maid informs him that Tamanis requests his presence at the shop. He quickly makes his way there and is amazed by the quality of the work and impressed with the turnover time too. The craftsman points out that it still needs some refining, but he made it his top priority to finish. Cain informs him that the reversi game is exactly how he pictured it in his head. The boy suggests they have a little game to test it. He plays again with Parma while explaining the rules in real time to them. Tamanis get excited because he is certain that the game will catch on. Cain feels a little guilty taking the credit since it's a classic game from his previous life. Parma comments on how fun it was to play and wants to have another game. With such positive feedback, he would like to produce a regular version and a separate one for nobles. He is sure that the upper class would want a fancier looking product, but he wants the regular version to be something anyone can afford. Cain greenlights 50 noble versions and 1,000 regular versions for manufacturing. They can draft a contract to produce more as needed, which would be determined by sales. Tamanis notes that his company doesn't have surplus funds, so Cain happily provides him with the bag, which surprises him. With such confidence placed in him, he promises to do his utmost best again. Cain feels a little uncomfortable with the bow, so he pleads for him to stop as it is only an upfront investment. Tamanis suggests they draw up a contract and present it to the god of commerce. They take their sample to the altar and swear to the deity that they will each uphold their end of the contract. It gets accepted as it vanishes. This means that no one will be able to produce the same product for 3 years. Talk about a cool fantasy patent system. With things now official, Cain wants them to strive to start selling the product in the next month. He adds that he would like Tamanis to prepare a more extravagant one which will be given to the royal household. This takes the craftsman by surprise because he's only a mid-scale company, so for him to be given such an opportunity is unprecedented. Cain is confident that he can produce one that will impress the king. He promises to fulfill that request. Parma comments that the young noble must have some amazing connections. He makes a mental note that the king is not his only connection. The fact that the reversi set disappeared means that the gods are enjoying it in their realm as he speaks. He makes his way home after his meeting where he's informed that the debut ceremony is about to begin. He rushes to get ready and leaves with his parents. His father makes it known to him that since he became a baron at the last audience with the king, a lot of eyes are going to be on him during this event. He warns him to watch out for the other parents who will try to introduce their daughters to him. He acknowledges the advice and promises to deal with it appropriately. Even his dad is surprised by his mature response. They arrive at debut and Cain locks eyes with cordiality Corgino, who gives him a hostile look. He notices Corgino's son, who has followers the same age as him. As he proceeds forward, he's called by the Duke, who formally introduces himself and his daughter, Miss Silk. The guy begins to riz her up to the point that the Duke has to interrupt. Kane's father explains his son's dangerous ability, and he kind of gets away with it. They excuse themselves just as the royal family make their appearance. The king gives a speech to inspire the next generation of elites and ends it with a posh toast. Everyone then lines up to give their greetings to the king and his family. When it's Kane's turn, he introduces himself perfectly and compliments Celestia to the point that she gets flushed, causing the king to pull him up on his silver tongue. He just got the royal city boy seal of approval. Kane turns his attention to the king and presents the reversi game that he developed in cooperation with the Sarah King Company. The king is interested, so he invites him for a private audience later where he can explain the game and they can discuss his treatment of the princess. His dad wasn't aware of his game development project. Kane explains that since he has been promoted to Baron, he was afraid that he might not have enough money to maintain the mansion, so he had to find other sources. His father understands his points. With the important part complete, his parents leave early to tend to some rounds. They encourage Kane to interact with some of the children his age so that he can feel like a normal kid for once. His thoughts are interrupted when Silk comes over to talk to him while they wait for Celestia. They take a seat and begin small talk, but Kane feels more comfortable with her dropping the master prefix when calling his name. She begins to tease him, which makes him a little nervous. Habit comes along with his friends and interrupts them. He greets Silk and gives her a compliment, expecting for her to reciprocate, but she just gets up and politely gives a lady bow to greet him. One of Habit's lackeys demands that Kane give his boss some respect by allowing him to sit with Silk without interruption, since he's the eldest son of Corgino. Kane gets up and greets him before introducing himself as a baron, but the boys misinterpret it as him telling them that his father is a baron, which is a lower rank than their father's, so they begin to look down on him. Since he didn't give his last name, they speculate that he must be very low rank, so Habit orders him to apologize for his rudeness or he will unleash his boys on him. His way of addressing Kane offends Silk, so she tries to defend him, but Kane interrupts her, stating that it is Habit who will apologize first. He takes it as fighting talk and asks him if he wants to catch these hands outside. Silk sees that the situation is escalating and behaves like the damsel in distress, despite Kane telling her that she didn't need to come. Their flirting starts to make Habit a little jealous, so he shouts for them to cut it out when he's speaking. He reveals that his two followers have the god's protection and can use magic. The first guy steps up and does the strangest pre-performance routine I have ever seen. After all that drama, he releases a fireball spell that is so pathetic that even a toddler could dodge it. The other guy does the same but fires a rock bullet spell, which is equally as sad. As they prepare to attack again, Silk stops them and tells the trio that Kane is not the son of a baron but is rather a baron himself. She reveals that he's the third son of Garm and he is the one who saved the princess and herself from an army of 30 orcs single-handedly. The trio step back in shock because they heard about their age mate's achievements. She orders them to bow since he outranks them significantly. They plead for forgiveness for their embarrassing stupidity and excuse themselves. Silk finds the whole situation amusing. She confronts Kane about him knowing that they were mistaken but still let them act out so that the reveal would be all the sweeter. She comments that he has a dark side and promises to tell Celestia about it. He pleads for her not to, so she promises not to say a word as long as he goes on a date with her. The princess overhears them talking about keeping the incident a secret and wants to know what happened. Kane holds Silk's mouth shut, which is seen as scandalous since they are not married. She uses this as leverage to find out the truth by threatening to tell her father. Silk just reveals that they were planning on going on a date. This makes Celestia jealous, so Kane says that they can go as a trio to make her happy. The king interrupts and summons him for their meeting. While they play the game, the king enjoys it to the point that he wants to make it exclusive to him, but Kane alerts him that he intends to release it to the masses. The Duke is also around, so they both use it as an opportunity to warn Kane not to let it slip out that he's to marry the princess and the Duke's daughter. He feels the pressure as they both stand over him, marking the end of the